A wonderful good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to dive into a discussion on industry trends, the ScienceDirect vision, and how we innovate to meet researcher needs. This webinar is designed to provide you with valuable insights into the evolving landscape of the research industry and how ScienceDirect is shaping the future of research through innovation and dedication. My name is Michaela Klosterkamp. I'm consultant for research solutions in Germany. Together with my esteemed colleagues, Ms. Podkosek and Ms. Saatweber, I will be hosting today's session. Together, we are here to facilitate the question and answer segment at the end of this session. Please feel comfortable to interact with us either in German or English. If it's easier for you, feel free to post your questions in German. We are here to assist you in both languages to make this session as informative and engaging as possible for everyone. So let me introduce our speaker today. We are honored to have with us Rose Leoyer, a distinguished member of our Elsevier family. Rose has dedicated 2 decades of her career to Elsevier, contributing her expertise in various capacities, including publishing, strategy, and product management. Over the past 9 years, Rose has been an integral part of the ScienceDirect product team. In her current role as Senior Vice President of Researcher Products at Elsevier, she leads a passionate team committed to enhancing the efficiency and productivity of researchers worldwide. And with this, I hand over to you, Rose.
Thank you, Michaela, and welcome to everyone. It's a bit difficult for me to see questions, but I think the team can help me stop whenever there's a question that needs to be answered urgently. Feel free to just start chatting or asking. So before we dive into ScienceDirect itself and how we've been developing the platform, I just wanted to talk a little bit about industry trends and how it shapes the way that we think about developing ScienceDirect. So we think a lot about how can we ensure that ScienceDirect delivers real value in this complex research ecosystem that we're in? And the only way we can do this is by focusing on what are the biggest problems that we can solve and what are the most important jobs that need to be done that we can help with. So when we think, for example, about what a typical researcher has to deal with, a few things that come to mind are a continued volume pressure. So we see the publish or perish paradigm is still very much relevant. But on the other side, we also see that the amount of potentially relevant content that is available to researchers is still growing very fast. So how do they navigate, right, through these millions of pieces of potentially relevant knowledge? Then they're also under increasing pressure to innovate in areas that have a demonstrable impact on society's well-being. The world needs it right now, and it's really dependent on the research community to contribute to a better future. So that brings a lot of pressure as well. And then at the same time, we see public trust in science seems to be lower than before, and researchers really need to think about how do they harness this trust in their research with the general public. Now, when we talk to our customers, we also hear some recurring themes, and these are just a few examples of what we hear. Library resources are limited. How do we optimize the resources that we have for the benefit of my institute? How do we deal with evolving funder requirements and help our researchers navigate through that? And what is the role of the library in a future that is more digital first and where more and more work actually happens outside of the physical library? What does that mean for us? And then in the industry as a whole, yeah, there's some major trends that are impacting all of this. And there's many trends going on. So I just picked out 3 here that we see having the most disruptive impact or the most transformational impact on the work that we do. The first one, quite obvious, is open access. That trend, of course, started already a long time ago, and Elsevier has fully embraced it. But there's still a lot happening in this space, like the rise of transformational agreements, which is relatively recent, discussions about equitable APC pricing, or how open access has influenced the growth of even more content. And is that actually a good thing? Research integrity is also a huge theme for us. I think this is probably the biggest common problem that is bringing publishers together to collaborate on solving this. How do we protect the scholarly record for the future? And that, of course, also plays very much into the problem we have in the trust in science. And then generative AI, which is, yeah, the new kid on the block, the new trend on the block since a little than over a year. And we don't actually know yet how disruptive this is going to be. We're really at the beginning of finding out what are the opportunities that generative AI provides to help solve problems, solve some of these problems that we see here. But also, what kind of risks do we need to be aware of to make sure that we protect the future of science? So yeah, there's a lot here, this is basically how we think about how can we provide value in this ecosystem. And so what we focus on is how can we help solve some of these problems. Now, a little bit about ScienceDirect, for those not familiar. I mean, there's a lot of numbers here that I'm not going to go through. But the point I wanted to make here is there's really three elements that go into the value of ScienceDirect. And one is, of course, the content itself, all the content that is published by Elsevier. It's unique, it's broad, it's valuable. Then secondly, the platform ScienceDirect, it really helps to have a platform that can create a lot of visibility for content, is, for example, very visible within the researcher workflow when they use Google, for example. It just provides a lot of discoverability, and we make it easy for people to find the content that they're looking for. And then thirdly is the broad audience that we have that really helps us develop it even further to make it more useful, because we have so many people on it already. So yeah, it reaches a wide audience, which is great. And people engage with it also very intensively. We see over 80 article views per second, over 700,000 searches per day. And then when we ask researchers why they like ScienceDirect, they think it's a time saver. It helps them support their research. It has particular strengths in their field, and it helps them in the discovery journey. So our vision at ScienceDirect is we want to help researchers make an impact on the world, as I said earlier, really do things for the benefit of society, and how we can help with that. The little piece in the life of a researcher is by making the discovery of insights simple and rewarding. So knowledge should be at the fingertips of researchers. So on ScienceDirect, two ways that we focus on that. On the one is the user experience itself. So we want to make sure discovery is as effortless as it can be. I mean, I was just talking about the millions of, ScienceDirect alone has already 20 million articles and books. So it's just really difficult to find what you're looking for. So we try to help with that. So with the search functionality, but also with different types of alerts and personalization. We try to make it easy to navigate around an article and find the pieces of information that you need from the article, things like remote access as well. Then the topic pages that's a free layer that we provide on ScienceDirect that is built on top of our foundational content, mostly books, but also journal review articles that helps people get up to speed on a certain topic. And then just, the content itself. So we try to make the content on ScienceDirect as broad as possible from all fields of science. But then on the other hand, we focus a lot on actually the technology behind the platform itself. A few years ago, we did a huge platform upgrade. We basically built it from scratch. It took 4 years to do that. But now we are an absolute top tier platform with over 99% availability. Usually it's actually 99.9% availability, fully agile. We don't have scheduled downtime anymore. We do over 120 platform updates every month. We're continuously releasing improvements. It also allows us, if we find a bug or there's some kind of disruption, that we can solve it really quickly. And then we want to make also the platform very fast. So make sure that within milliseconds a page loads, etc. And yeah, it sounds like a simple thing. And, when you visit a website, it's something you take for granted, that it's fast and that it works and it's always up. But a lot of effort and investment goes into making sure it is like that, especially if you serve over 80 article views every second. So then I wanted to talk a bit about how do we innovate, and this is a bit simplified, and the work of a researcher cannot really be simplified in this way, but it helps me talk through a bit of some of the themes that we cover. So I'm kind of reducing it to 4 key use cases that we focus on when we think about how we can help. And the first one is about discovery, so discovering relevant insights, staying up to date on the field. Then the second one is, once you have discovered relevant insights, how do you effectively read or evaluate the content and make sure that you can quickly grasp the key things from that article. Then thirdly, organizing the work, keeping track of the research, and fourthly, publishing the research outcomes. So those for us are the 4 main themes. So I just wanted to share a few examples of things we have done recently, but also a little bit more a few years ago. So in the past few years up to now, under these 4 themes, to get you up to speed on, what do we now offer on ScienceDirect around this. And after that, I'll go into what are we focusing on now for this year? What are our main focus points? So under the first theme, improving discovery, we have made a number of improvements on topic pages and search that I wanted to mention. So one is auto-suggest on search that we have now. So when you start typing, it starts to automatically propose a search for you. And that helps because people sometimes do have trouble figuring out what the best search actually is. So we try to help with that. Also on search, if you're on an article in ScienceDirect and you run into a term that you're not familiar with, or you want to search further, what people used to do is, they copy paste the term, they go open another window, input it in Google, run a search there. What we now do, once you copy a piece of text in an article, you can actually, it pops up a little modal, and you can run a search on ScienceDirect directly. You can also still copy the text, of course, if you want to run a Google search, but it just makes it a little bit easier to run a search a little bit faster. Then we also added figures in the search results. This was especially important for in fields that are very visually focused, like, for example, chemistry and engineering. And we've been asked to implement an image search on ScienceDirect, which we used to have before we rebuilt the platform. We don't have that anymore. But instead, we built a figure in the search results functionality. And it turns out that was actually much easier for us to realize and meets the same need. So yeah, it's now very easy to see the figures in the search results. And then on topic pages, yeah, we just did some improvements around making sure that it's easier to run a search from the topic pages. We also put topic pages in the search results. So if you run a search on the regular ScienceDirect search, you also see suggested topic pages there now. So just, some things around making it a little bit easier, a little bit more productive to do things. Now, last year, especially for the chemistry field, we implemented an integration with Reaxys on ScienceDirect. So we're very excited about this because we're getting loads of positive feedback from chemists that are using this. So on all of our chemistry-related journal content, we now have this piece of functionality here on the article page. It basically automatically detects if there are chemical structures mentioned in the article, pulls some information from Reaxys into the free layer on ScienceDirect. And it allows people to click on these images and inspect it a bit further. There's some information there available. And if they want really more information, then they can also go to Reaxys. But you don't have to be a Reaxys subscriber to see this, this initial view on ScienceDirect. And it really helps chemists because they tend to be very visual, and visualization tends to help more in understanding what is actually in the article rather than text itself. So we're very proud of this integration that we did last year. This one is another kind of, small one that has a lot going on behind the scenes. It's based on artificial intelligence methods. It's, to be specific, natural language processing. And it seems like a tiny feature, but it is actually extremely helpful. Actually, we were surprised by the reaction on how useful this is. So an article on ScienceDirect would have a list of cited by articles that is powered by Scopus. So those are articles that are citing this article. So what we do is, because people use this list to go like, okay, what other research was built on top of this research, and they usually go down a long discovery journal, clicking on all these references and looking, trying to figure out how that fits together. So what we're doing here is we're actually pulling in the context of the citation in that article that is citing this article. So you can actually already see how the article is being cited. Is it a positive citation? Is, for example, this article used as an example, reinforcing that research? Or is it maybe that the author of that article doesn't agree with what is concluded in this article? It really gives a sense of what does it actually mean, and it just provides a lot more context, and the researcher doesn't then always have to go and click on every single thing. They can basically pick and choose which is most relevant for them, just reading the snippet. So that's a really nice feature. Another one that we did last year is an article preview. So what happens a lot is, even if you're subscribed to a journal, sometimes you're on the go, you're on your phone, and you're not logged in to, or you're not associated with your institute, or you do not have access to the article, and you end up on the paywall on ScienceDirect. And this used to be just the title and the authors and the abstract that we would show. The complaints that we got about that is that it's sometimes very difficult to judge from the abstract whether the article is relevant. An abstract is often written a bit as a teaser. It doesn't give all the full information. So people would need more information, like conclusion or some pieces from the methodology to be able to assess, is it actually worth going through the authentication process, or is it worth asking for an interlibrary loan for this article? So we're trying to make that a little bit easier by expanding the free layer of the article. And you can see that here on the right-hand side, it's much longer than just the abstract. So what we've done is the introduction, every section, a small snippet from the first, I think, 200 words or something, the reference list, and then the cited by snippets. We make it available on the free layer. And we got also very positive user feedback about this. It really helps people to assess whether the article is relevant to them without going through the trouble of getting the full text access. Then the next one is on accessibility. That is also, for us, falls under helping to read the article or to evaluate the article. We now have 100% accessible video player on ScienceDirect. It's been implemented on a new journal called Science Talks. And yeah, it's just really cool. Even just, for people who do not have visual impairments, it is just incredibly useful. It allows you to completely customize the way that you view the video. You can put captions under it. You can choose even the color of the captions. It has a rolling transcript on the side, and you can skip through the video using the transcript. So just, yeah, really useful for watching video content on ScienceDirect, both for the regular user, but also very critical for people with visual disabilities. Yeah, and so this is now available to all our journals, but it's not yet rolled out to all our journals. It's now mostly available on Science Talks. But for us, it closes an important gap on accessibility that we were focusing on. And then under organizing, to highlight there is search history and reading history. So this is really about keeping track of the research. So if you run a lot of searches on ScienceDirect and you want to save those and look back later what you've searched, or run a new search on the same query, if you have a ScienceDirect account, you can save your search history and go back to previous searches. And the same with reading history. We basically keep a list of everything you've looked at, so you can look back later on, oh, what was that article that I saw? And actually, I forgot, I closed the tab and now I don't remember what it was. It's all there. Now, there's, of course, a privacy aspect to this. So we made a pretty big deal out of making sure that the users have full control over what we track. First of all, we only track this history for people who create an account on ScienceDirect, a personal account. We don't do that for anyone else. And then you see here some toggles and some functionality where you can actually decide, even if you have a ScienceDirect account for another reason, maybe you have a journal alert, you don't want us to track your reading history or your search history, you can simply just turn it off. You can also delete the entire history, or you can delete individual entries in the history. So it's completely customized based on people's preference. And then under helping publish, so this is a pretty big change for ScienceDirect over the years. We were always very focused on helping with the Discovery Journal, with reading. But we found out that between 10 and 20% of our users were actually also looking for journals to submit their article to, and looking at articles or tables of contents to see, is this journal actually suitable for me? So we decided to put some work into making sure that we have all the information that an author would need to assess a journal, whether they would be suitable for their research, have all the metrics there available, guide for authors, etc. So we now have quite an extensive offering for authors on ScienceDirect. And we're still working on expanding that. So these are the journal, what you see here in this visual is the journal homepage, is an example journal homepage. You can see a submit button there. Now that has always been there, but that was pretty much the only thing that we had. We now also have the aims and scope. We have the full editorial board available on ScienceDirect. We have all the metrics available that you can also open up and look at as a complete thing. Things like how fast is the peer review at this journal, how fast is the publishing, what is the acceptance rate, where is the journal indexed, what is the article publishing charge, etc. And then the guide for authors as well. Another thing we did to help authors is we found that a lot of people are looking for a suitable special issue to publish in. And our journals publish calls for papers for special issues, but these were not organized. So we find people going to different journal pages and look at the call for papers and see if they can find a suitable call for paper. So what we did was we created a new search page that allows you to search on all the call for papers that are available on ScienceDirect. And so to see if you can find a suitable special issue that fits the subject area that you're writing an article on. So yeah, we launched that also last year, and we did a survey on how useful people, because we didn't really know if it would be useful, but the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, and people find it very useful to be able to search all the calls for papers available. So that was a bit of a whirlwind on the most important developments on the platform that we wanted to highlight. I just wanted to quickly check if there are any questions that I should address at this point.
Rose, I don't see any questions at the moment in the Q&A.
Okay.
The chat neither, but if you would like, I can launch the poll now.
Well, 1 sec. I just first wanted to explain this slide, and then we can do the poll. Yeah. So we have here these 6 themes that are key areas of focus for 2024. So I wanted to do a very short summary of each of these themes, and then we want to do a quick poll to see which you are actually most interested in to hear more about. So the first one is expanding the content breadth of ScienceDirect. So I don't know if this is, if you're aware, but ScienceDirect has been partnering with other publishers to syndicate their content on ScienceDirect and see if we can make content in general more discoverable. So we've partnered with Wiley and Taylor and Francis and ACS and RSC and now a growing number of other publishers that are hosting some of their journals on ScienceDirect in addition to their own publisher platform. So we are looking to expand this offering further because we've received very positive feedback from everyone. There's basically only upsides to this. So we're now actively inviting all publishers to host their content on ScienceDirect and make it more discoverable. On top of that, we're working on providing counter reporting for the content on ScienceDirect. Although I have to say that subscription content that we syndicate will always be counted on the publisher platform because we link the PDF view through to their platform. The second one is experimentation on new ways to create value. Now, this sounds a bit vague, but what we're focusing on here is how can generative AI add value to the researcher experience and help get researchers' jobs done quicker and better. So we have a few experiments live with generative AI, a relatively small scale on the article and the topic pages, and we're looking at expanding the amount of experimentation we do on this. Then supporting open access publishing. So we're going to keep helping authors to select the best journals. We have a few experiments where people can compare journals that I can tell you about. We're also running an APC geo-pricing pilot, and we're looking at how we can improve APC transparency, not just between Elsevier journals, but in the industry as a whole. Then on enabling customers to get more value out of Scopus, we're basically creating a free layer of Scopus author profiles on ScienceDirect to create more visibility for the authors, but to also help with discovery of content or relevant content through the people who wrote the articles. Improving librarian services. So continued focus on remote access as we have every year. There's still a lot to improve there. Also, we're preparing for a new counter standard 5.1 that's coming into play in January next year. And next to that, we are working on a new librarian portal that's going to help with managing access, managing your branding on ScienceDirect, and counter reporting, etc., that I can tell you about. And then the last one is enhancing security, privacy, and accessibility. So here we're mostly focused this year on preparing for the European Accessibility Act. We're also focused on maintaining our good position on accessibility standards. We're the #1 most accessible homepage in the world. We'd really like to keep it like that. And we're also focusing on closing some more accessibility gaps that we have. We've just released a cookie banner, which is also important. Plus, we're aiming to obtain ISO 27001 and 27701 certification, which is all about how we manage data. And it's about privacy and security. So yeah, those are the 6 themes. So now can we launch the poll to see which one speaks most to you and you want to know more about?
So the poll should be live now for everyone to see. We're at 66% completion, 70 now. Okay, there don't seem to be any more answers incoming, so I think I will end the poll right here and share the results. Rose, are you also able to see the results now?
Yeah, I see the results. So I see improving librarian services is the most popular, and well, and then there are 3 runner-ups. So it's spread pretty equally. So innovation, content syndication, and Scopus. All right, yeah. So let me think about. So let me start with the librarian services then, and then I'll just move to the back here. Yeah, so we are rolling out a new admin console. So the goal is here for you to manage all your dealings with Elsevier in one place. It's very ambitious. There's now a lot of different tools that we offer for librarians in different places. And we're not there yet, but the vision is to have it all in one place so that you only have to go to this admin console to manage everything. So the things that we want to include in this admin console is requesting and managing your IP addresses, look at your counter reporting, assign and manage admin privileges, customize your branding. There's a custom banner that you can put on ScienceDirect with your library logo in it that you can set up. You can already do that now. It's just it's not in a central place. Entitlements, view the entitlements, export entitlements, look at journal and book turnaways. And I mean, that's really where we are starting. But we are currently talking to customers and running customer interviews to see what are the most important things that you would like to see or you would like to be able to manage from one place. And so the ones that you see in this list are the things that really came out on top, but there might be more things that would be really useful to have available in one library admin portal. So the portal is already live. It's just in a beta stage right now. So we have not rolled it out to all our customers, but it is already possible to get access to it now. And the advantage of that is that you can actively participate in developing it. So you can influence what you want to see in the admin console. And there's more chance that they will then build that in or prioritize the development of that particular feature. So if you're interested in that, I would really encourage you to sign up for the beta version of the admin console. I don't know if the link works from Zoom, but we can probably put this link in the chat or something. Yeah, and it's really, I mean, it's a tool that is being developed for the librarian and to make your work easier and to make it easier for you to manage all your holdings with us and all your entitlements and assess the value of what you've bought with us, etc. Okay, so let me then move on. Unless there are questions, I'm going to move to the beginning. How much time do we still have?
We have at least another 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. All right, so content syndication. So we launched a pilot in 2022 with 38 journals. This was in collaboration with Wiley, Taylor and Francis, RSC and ACS, mainly focused on chemistry. With Taylor and Francis, we also did some transportation journals because we were interested to see the difference. And the goal was really, let's learn together on how we can improve discoverability of research for researchers. So can we make it a little bit easier for people to discover high quality research? The advantage of this particular collaboration in chemistry was that I think we had like 18 out of the 20 top chemistry titles available in one place, which was really nice. And so we're really going into it together to see what can we learn here? How can we create more value in the ecosystem rather than us working in silos. So we ran that for a year, and mid last year, we published a report with some results, and you can see a summary of that here in this visual. And I mean, basically what we found out that there were not really, we couldn't really discover many downsides to doing this. We only got positive feedback about it. So, well, first of all, ScienceDirect users thought it was a good idea because it just allowed them to discover more content in their journey on ScienceDirect. But the authors of the articles that we syndicated also were very positive about their articles being shared in this way, because obviously the more visible their content, the more chance it's going to get discovered and it's going to get cited, which is going to be good for their research as well. So that was very positive as well. Users really liked that publishers and discovery platforms are collaborating together for the benefit of the researchers. And then another advantage for the publishers themselves who are participating is that we saw an increase in the visibility of their content. So they saw up to 19% increase in reach because of the way ScienceDirect, I mean, I mentioned earlier, ScienceDirect has such a big audience, and that's really beneficial for some of these journals. So yeah, considering the results, we said, well, this sounds like a really good idea. We also talked to various librarians, by the way. We have a advisory board that we talked to about it, where also it was just really encouraging for them to hear that publishers were collaborating to create more visibility, and also for librarians to just get more value out of their investment in all this research. So we're currently expanding this offering. So we've added some publishers to it, like Brill, Emerald Publishing, Chicago University Press, the American Society for Microbiology, and we have a few more in the pipeline that we're adding slowly but surely to the ScienceDirect platform. So you might be interested in how that works for usage reporting. So we don't do any of the third-party content sales on ScienceDirect. It's just the hosting of the content. For open access content, we show the full text, but the PDF is hosted on the original publisher site, so we link there. And for subscription content, we only show the abstract, and the link of the PDF goes to the original publisher website as well. So the usage reporting really still flows through the original publisher's reports to you. So we are working on counter reporting for the open access content where we're showing the full text, so that, and we'll send that to the publisher so they can incorporate that as well into their counter reporting to you. I'm just quickly checking if there are any. Okay, no questions. Okay. So then just quickly about generative AI. So it's very early days. We're being a bit careful with it because there's a lot of opportunity and everybody's really excited about what we could do with it. But also, we do need to make sure there's of course some risks, like, we need to make sure we're not hallucinating science that doesn't exist. Everything needs to point back to sources. Attribution is really important. We just want to make sure we don't destroy any trust here. But there is a huge amount of opportunity to make research easier by using generative AI. So we're exploring this, and we have 2 live experiments right now. So on 1,000 topic pages, we created a number of questions and answers on a topic. So this is pre-generated. So instead of people writing a question and us answering it on the fly, we pre-generated the most obvious questions based on that topic page. So for example, on data fusion, we asked, what is data fusion? What are the benefits of data fusion? And that opens up a small summary of what that is based on our topic page content, which is based on our foundational content, with all the references mentioned there. And when you click that, you can basically go to the original source of the knowledge. But it's nice to have it summarized in this way. So far, the engagement on this functionality has been very high. So the overall engagement on topic pages on these 1,000 pages has more than doubled. So that tells us that these kind of questions and answers really speak to people. It's really useful. The other experiment is on our article page. So we're now doing this on 20,000 articles in the computer science area, where as part of the article, right below the abstract, we have also a pre-generated questions and answers section that asks, again, the most obvious questions about what the article is about. You can click on it. It opens a little summary with the answer. But what is really nice, you can then also click on View Source at the bottom of that summary, and it brings you to the relevant section in the article that is answering that question. And it is providing a bit more information about why it is, why that particular piece answers that question. So you can imagine that that really helps people to navigate through an article instead of having, because an average article is 15 pages long. It's a lot of reading. And people don't tend to read it from beginning to end. They tend to skip through and look at the conclusion first, and then they look at the methods. So this allows them to, right at the top, look at what questions is this article answering for me? Is this relevant? Or maybe I can skip this, and if it is relevant, can already see a summary of how it is answering that question. So this one has just been released 2 weeks ago, so I don't have a lot of feedback about it yet, but we're quite excited about the possibilities around this one. Yeah, and then we're looking at running other experiments, like a real Q&A functionality where people can actually type in questions, and we provide summary answers plus tables of pieces of information from different articles that summarizes the insights for them. So we're very interested to work with customers on this experimentation, because it's all about the quality of this work, right? It's not about the functionality itself. It's about how good is this answer? Is this really the answer that you were looking for or were expecting? Is it appropriate? And it really needs to be developed together with the scientific community. So we're very keen to work together on developing this further. And if you're interested to be involved in that, do contact the meeting organizers, and we would love to talk to you about that.
I have a question, Rose.
Yes.
Regarding these experiments and questions, are these also possible to be exported along with the article, I guess?
It's to be exported.
So if you can download those as well.
Well, so on the topic pages, I think we have a functionality where you can create a PDF of the entire topic page. So I assume that would include this. On the article page, we actually do, so it's not included in the PDF of the article. It is only included on the HTML version of the article. So right now, you can, of course, copy paste the article, but yeah, there's not an easy way right now to export this somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it's a good question. I haven't been asked that before, actually, so it's good. Do we have any time left? I cannot really see what time it is.
I think we arrived at the end of the webinar now, but maybe we can also check again for some questions if there are any.
So I can't see any additional questions. I think also everything is very clear explained.
But yes, also if any of you should have any questions after this webinar today, we posted the links where you will find the recording of today's webinar, on which website you can access those. There is also our contact information logged on that page. So should you have any more questions, feel free to shoot us an email and we will get back to you on these. With that, I guess, Rose, thank you so much for hosting this webinar with us today and being our presenter.
Yes, my pleasure. And I mean, it says here on the page already, I mean, just repeating our vision. And I mean, our daily job is to try to help researchers in their work, right? So we're very keen to listen to our users and our customers and learn how we can improve the ScienceDirect experience further. So if things pop into your mind after this webinar, or there are things you would like to learn more about, do reach out, and we'd be really happy to talk more.